Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's having a great day. I'm Jeff Little. I'm with Accelerant Consulting, and we partnered with ComplyVision to bring you this webinar demo this afternoon of their web-based compliance tool. And I want to thank everybody that's tuning in live, as well as anybody watching the recording of the demo. We should have a few minutes at the very end for any questions, and we'll get those through our chat windows. I'll compile those, ask those at the end of the session. So real quick, a little bit about ComplyVision's tool. It's something that's, I think, much needed in healthcare today. I've been in healthcare for a little over 30 years, and I can think of working in my time in the hospital, how cumbersome all the binders, materials, everything we had to prep for a survey. And this tool would have saved us a ton of time and ensured that we were up to date on policies, procedures, other documentation, and competencies. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our presenter today from ComplyVision, Paula Sanchez. She is a nurse informaticist and really knows this space. So Paula, I'm going to turn it over to you for a quick intro and let you get started.
Thank you, Jeff, so much. As you just said, my name is Paula Sanchez. I am a nurse informaticist and a compliance consultant here with ComplyVision. So I will be hosting today's webinar, giving you a preview of ComplyVision, starting with a PowerPoint presentation and then a deeper dive into the actual solution. Alrighty, so for starters, we are going to discuss ComplyVision's background just to give you a preview of the organization itself. ComplyVision LLC is a global enterprise software company headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. It's been around for over 2 decades and has offices and representatives in Australasia, Europe, the Middle East, and Africa that offer multiple data management platforms to meet process-centric operations across the healthcare, business, cargo activity, shipping, and e-commerce industries. Today's webinar is a feature presentation of ComplyVision, which is ComplyVision's accreditation-agnostic compliance platform. ComplyVision was designed to promote cohesive workflows, communication, accountability, and improved readiness models via a single-source configurable SaaS-based solution. We fully support governance, compliance, and risk management principles and can align this platform to any national or international publicly regulated governance agency. We can also support alignment with private governance agency standards via permissioned member access to credential sites, data models, and respective data mapping keys. ComplyVision offers a wealth of feature highlights to include, but not limited to, governance alignment modules, and this is a basic alignment of your standard authorities, policies, and procedures. We also support incident and sentinel event tracking, task lists, alerts, being mindful of alert fatigue so you don't get inundated with too many alerts. We also offer real-time dashboards that provide compliance metrics as well as customizable reports, e-learning tools, mock surveys, and other staff preparedness modules. In addition to that, we also offer export capabilities, although we are truly a fully electronically based solution. So the following are notable benefits that occur when ComplyVision becomes a part of your compliance workflow. We're able to streamline your governance protocols by aligning your standard authorities to the policies, procedures, and related incidents, corrective actions, and policy review processes. In addition to this, it's going to improve your workflow efficiencies and quality output. We're also going to help enhance your survey and audit preparedness through improved staff readiness models. And all of this is going to help ensure continuity of efforts across your organization so that you're fully aligned to the governance principles related to your facilities, departments, and individual practice settings. This is going to further decrease liabilities across the board and promote cost savings as a result of the decreased compliance infractions as well as paper waste. ComplyVision is currently in use by compliance authorities and oversight institutions globally. ComplyVision delivers a process-centric platform that can fully support your industry's consumer base with off-the-shelf deliverables. We are able to support full governance alignment of your standard authorities, policies, and procedures for any publicly regulated industry standards to manage principles, protocols, workflows, and incident tracking. We are also able to offer customizable dashboards and reports that offer up qualitative status checks as well as quantitative data metrics. We also assist with risk management to track and profile incidents and sentinel events, which include ranking occurrences from high, medium to low, assigning corrective actions and preventative measures that further align with your governance protocols, policies, and standards. And last but not least, we also offer off-the-shelf staff preparedness scoring via our mock survey and e-learning tools that promote daily workflow governance and also prepare you for planned audits as well as to perform favorably during those surprise inspections. Governance agencies and third-party systems that integrate with ComplyVision will require more in-depth scoping exercises to ensure that the configuration criteria are met across all licensed entities prior to providing any integrative modules within our off-the-shelf client requests. The following areas will require additional data validation and workflow assessments. The dynamic integration and automated organizational workflow management models that are fully aligned with any requested publicly regulated governance agency within and external to your organization. We can support that along with any automated workflows. This includes any regulatory changes that occur through data mapping. Also, with third-party interfaces solutions that integrate within FileVision, we're able to push and pull that data that supports the client compliance and data management workflows. Thank you for your attention on this short presentation. For the webinar demonstration, I'll preview two types of tiered setups that we offer within ComplyVision. One is fashioned for your organization, and the other is fashioned more for FDR type enterprises. So keep in mind that these are test environments, but I encourage you to connect with a FileVision representative after this webinar to discuss any specific workflow configurations that we need to consider when we're setting up ComplyVision to meet your specific compliance needs. Let's jump right into the live environment. So here, as I mentioned earlier, ComplyVision is a cloud-based system. We provide you a client-specific URL that can be accessed securely with your respective login credentials from any web browser. We support Chrome, Edge, IE, Safari, and Firefox. And this particular web browser can be accessed from any device, whether it's a computer, a laptop, an iPad, or your cell phone. Upon login, you'll see our dynamic dashboards, and this provides a holistic view of your compliance metrics. So on this particular dashboard, which is customary within our environments, we're going to have the mock surveys, results, your policies, any incidents that have been logged, as well as sentinel events, and you have an array of diagrams that you're able to customize and configure to personalize rather for your dashboard. So each of these diagrams offer intuitive drill down capability and filtering options. So at a holistic view, this is our organizational setup. We're able to see all of the facilities assigned to that particular organization, which is our general hospital organization. Let me minimize here one moment. And our filtering is intuitive. We're able to deselect and just simply select one option where you can view the metrics for that specific facility. You're also able to view a combination of facilities within one view or all of the above. Likewise, I want to jump over here to the FDR setup and just show you here for your enterprise setups, if you have any provider networks, specific hospital networks, or provider suppliers, contractors, etc., you're able to set this up the same way with the different nomenclature. And we can work with you to provide that. So I'm going to jump back here. Alrighty, and we're going to maximize our screen again just a bit. Now, as I mentioned, each of our diagrams have drill down capability. When you hover, you can see the name, the actual count, and the percentage. So if we're going to take a look at the actual results for the active policies that are listed within this environment, we simply click one time and it renders the results for that particular list. If we want to see more details, we simply view the specific line item that interests us and click one time to drill down to the specific results. So in this example, we have drilled down to the COVID-19 policy, and we're able to see holistically the policy details at a glance. You can expand the description to see that. You're also able to see the name, the ID, the policy area that it's assigned, as well as any facilities in the specific state that this facility is held within. There's always one owner and author that are assigned to this particular policy, as well as a review date assigned and the status, whether it's in active or draft phase. For each policy, you will have an attachment, which will be the actual policy, and you can simply click View Document to see the latest policy that you have on hand. Likewise, you're able to view version history of that policy to see pretty much its life cycle as it's occurred within your environment. If for any reason you want to preview a previous version of that particular policy, you simply select that line item and click View to see the previous version. If at any time you decide you want to revert back to a previous version, you simply click Revert in order to add a new line item on the version control. You're also able to review any related forms that offer additional information for that policy within your practice setting. So for this instance, if you're looking for CDC protocols that support your specific organization's policy, you can click on the related links that have been configured for your ComplyVision platform, and it will take you directly to those specific sites. Likewise, if you're looking for state regulations that support that information or clear lab regulations per state, you're able to do the same here. Now, with that, you're able to also see within the policy the specific standard authorities that are aligned with it, as well as procedural steps and so on and so forth, which we'll go through in just a second. So any number of standards can be associated to your policy. Again, it's based on how we configure the system to support your specific needs in your practice setting. So in this instance, we're able to offer up a pairing of an OSHA standard that offers at a glance the details, and then by selecting the attachment that has been assigned to that particular standard, you're able to bring up the actual OSHA standard regulation that supports your policy. If it is an actual document that has been pulled directly from the agency site, any specific web links within that document are active, so you can simply click the link to take you directly to the OSHA website or respective public agency websites in order to view that information. And as it relates to any private organizations, if you're selecting links, it will take you directly to the login page of that agency, and you're then required to enter your agency membership login credentials in order to access the information. You can also assign a standard. Here's another example, and this one comes from the CLIA PMS standard. Similarly, if there's any links within that document that relate to any of the publicly regulated agencies, you're able to select that and navigate directly to the respective agency site. And if you have a general private agency standard like TJC, you can upload those documents, but again, any respective links will require membership login. So this is our fashioned accreditation agnostic feature that we advertise specific to the ComplyVision compliance platform. You're also able to fashion your procedural control steps. And so within this particular tab, any additional educational requirements that you need to, or procedural steps that you need to communicate to your staff can be fashioned and added here. There's no limit to how many that you create. And in this instance, each of your control steps have classification categories. So if it is a requirement based on what's required within your HR department, you can also add additional employee code of conduct policies as well as worker rights that can be linked to any federal reg as well. Likewise, if you have specific employee training videos that need to be added, like hand washing, our system does support the additional login of adding those specific hand washing details. Of course, if you're using any YouTube videos, you will have to sit through the advertisements. And back to this. So next, at the basic level, we're able to align the policy standards and control step procedural steps. In addition to that, if there are any incidents that have been logged within your organization that require awareness and notification, you're able to assign that to the respective user or member that it involves. But in addition to that, we give you the extra leverage of realigning those incidents back to the policies, not only to build more awareness around what has occurred, but also to provide additional information on how to prevent that from occurring in the future. That works the same for Sentinel incidents as well. And you have a tab here for related policies that can also be further aligned with your practice setting policy. And what this is kind of the gold standard. So if you know of a policy that is being followed within a gold standard or magnet hospital, you're able to add that as another reference point. So in this particular example, we've added a policy that is specifically from the Mayo Clinic. And that way you're able to view their guidelines there as well and see which ones you can adopt within your particular setting that will require additional review and approval. So when you've reached that phase, we help automate your workflows and promote compliance throughout. So if you find a specific policy or you just require a general update to your current policy, you're also able to communicate that at the compliance roundtable just within this tab. I've already logged a few, but in short, that particular process is going to allow you to have a conversation with your compliance team. You can do that virtually or in person, but ComplyVision gives you the respective chat threads and tools that are needed to communicate throughout that process without missing a beat. So if someone is on vacation and they need to access this particular task from their phone and make their comments, you're able to capture that along with their name, date, and timestamps and the comments made prior to either approving or denying that particular policy. And last but not least, regarding the policy alignments, you're also able to improve staff awareness and staff preparedness by assigning what we call acknowledgements. This is just another name of calling it a task. And what happens is you can fashion e-learning tools within that respective tab that can be added to your policy awareness procedures or even in services once you send that out. That information, once assigned, will actually land on the task list of those assignees. And once they actually open up that respective task, that can be accessed from the task list or from an email alert that they receive that looks similar to this with the respective links, they can simply select that task, see the instructions, see who assigned it, the date that it is due on, and then follow the respective prompts. So if there is a test assigned, we don't check or we don't limit the number of times a member can take a test. If you want that configured to support X number of times that they're limited to do so, we can configure the system to do it. But for starters, again, it's just an awareness building tool. So we give you the ability to fashion specific questions related to your policy or your specific practice setting that incorporates policy notes. And at that point, your assignee can then go in and take the test. If, for instance, they take the test and fail, the system is going to display a note that lets you know that they failed, and that information will then be tracked on the audit trail. So if you have someone, a member of your team that is struggling, you can simply address them privately by looking at the audit trail. Again, they have no limits on how many times they take the test, but once they actually pass the test, they will receive a message that says that they passed it, and that particular task item will then fall from the list. The task list also houses a variety of other tasks pertaining to policy reviews, policy approval statuses, as well as incidents that have been logged, sentinel events that have been logged, and standard acknowledgments that relate to any standard authority updates from the publicly regulated websites. Now, before I jump into the compliance search, I just want to jump over here to the FDR environment that I showed earlier and show you what that particular standard policy and procedure alignment would look like for an FDR setup. So we are all familiar that oxygen is one of the main supplies that are provided to different organizations. As such, within this FDR setting, I have an oxygen and oxygen equipment policy that has been fashioned. It will follow the same framework that we just looked at for the COVID policy sample. Likewise, in this example, you can assign multiple standards, again, nationally or internationally or state-based. You're not limited to the number of places you choose from to that particular policy. So in this particular example, we have a general overview, and we're able to navigate directly to the cms.gov website to view those particular protocols. Likewise, we can go directly to the DME, federal regulations, and view that information as well. Again, we're not having to run from department to department to find this information. It's all linked here in one space. If we have a provider supplier in one state that follows one set of rules, you're able to view that information right next to another provider supplier or credentialing specs from a different state. It's all in how we configure the system to meet your specific needs. And last but not least, just for this example related to any FDR suppliers or clients within your enterprise, you're also able to fashion a number of procedural steps that specifically address their needs. So if you're looking to provide them with specific steps on how to register with your organization or how to enroll as a DME provider across the nation or the state that you are in, you're able to fashion simple steps and then add the respective links for them to access. You can also check credentials directly from this information, and if it's something that requires a specific login, at this point when you access that link through one single click, you just simply enter your active membership credentials for that particular site. So as you can see, there's no limit to how many ways we can configure ComplyVision. I'm going to jump back over to the general organizational environment just to continue on with the other feature capabilities that we offer. But in essence, you've seen now the accreditation agnostic feature as well as the different tiered systems and how to set that up from a simple organization all the way up to an FDR enterprise setup. So within the compliance search page, we are able to provide a holistic search of all the policies and standards that are housed within the environment. You can also provide a simple word search to narrow it down to just the policies and standards that relate to that specific topic of discussion. We also provide icons. So if it's a little document icon, that translates into it being a policy. And if you see the gavel icon, that translates into it being a standard authority. Likewise, related to our ability to offer multiple accrediting agencies tracking and reporting within one environment, we are able to configure your environment to provide a sample of standard sets for a private agency like TJC. And if you notice within this, we're able to get the results, but prior to that, these standard authorities that we are filtering on are directly assigned to those that match the TJC standards. So if we wanted to drill a little bit deeper and go into specific infection prevention and controls subcategories that are assigned to the TJC standards, we can do so. To see that list is much shorter, but specifically related to TJC. Likewise, if you're looking to see OSHA healthcare standards, again, this is a testing environment. We do have a smaller subset of standard categories associated with OSHA. And once we filter that down, you can see the list changes and the categories and names are specific to those found within OSHA. Same applies for CARF. As well as any correctional facility or international insurance and pensions that we have here. You're able to apply all and configure the system to support any of your organizational, staff, and or client needs. We are also able to give you specific policies based on the policy area. So if you're looking for a specific area, and this actually comes in handy whenever you have an auditor on site. If you need to give them, assign them an external login to view just that particular subset of policies for a specific area, you're able to do so. Likewise, if you want to simplify your list and just give them an exported link or printout for that particular list of policies, you're able to do that here as well. And so in this example, I've trimmed down the list. You have the option of offering a title page, selecting a letterhead title page from your local drive, or deciding that you don't want any title page at all. So in this example, I just copied and pasted some information in there. We can modify the title page right here on the spot. And we can include version control and review data. For the purpose of this sample, I'm going to exclude it so it doesn't take as long to render. And what happens is ComplyVision is then going to fashion an exportable file that includes your title page, an actual table of contents that's active, and the respective policies that go along with that. Now, the best part about this is, again, as you are sorting and organizing this list, which you can sort and organize it before it is printed by just simply selecting the sorter on your table prior to selecting the export key. But while you're here, it gives you a full count, page count of all pages associated with that particular exported set. This is important because if you have some policies that actually have page numbers on them, it does not distort the individual page number that's listed on your policy. And if you have multiple auditors within your setting that need to separate the set of exported files out, when they come back together, you can easily reorganize that exported printed copy of files once they come back. So it's a very efficient tool that we have here that we've embedded. And last but not least, we also give you the ability to filter your search list based on states, as well as the sources, whether it's federal, state, or local, prior to viewing the specific information. So we've already talked about task lists. We're going to skip over to the action items. So within the action items, you're able to fashion an actual policy standard or control step. We also give you the ability to import those files. They have to be formatted in CSV. Or the third option is you provide specific credentials and data mapping keys where we can pull that information directly in through an integrative feature. But here, if you're just adding one at a time and manually adding them, you can do so right here within the action items list. You can also access your mock survey tool. And within this, again, this is a staff readiness tool. I will just show you from the blank mock survey form. You're just going to fill this out, adding a name, a description, a specific date, the assigned partners, and then the actual standard setting category that you want to associate it with. So how is that important? When you actually go to meet with your team, let's say for your in-service or a weekly training that you may have, you can bring this along, and what's going to happen is you've created a mock survey to test the readiness of your team members for that specific topic. And the system is going to actually assign all of the related standard categories that associate with that particular topic based on the assignment that you gave it during the creation level. So once that's been assigned, you can basically go through each of these. You can simply expand that information to see the standard, related standards, policies, control steps, incidents, which is pretty much a carbon copy of what I just showed you from the policy aligned tabs. And you're able to then review that information, test your staff on that information, even view the respective documents, show them the respective videos, and then rate them manually. Have a scoring method that allows you to do this. And you can add your notes. So the main goal of this particular feature, again, it's going to encourage staff participation, but it's truly based on your interpretation of competency and what that looks like within your setting. It's going to allow your compliance officers, once completed, to offer a holistic view of which areas you've had no concerns, that everything is working smoothly, opposed to the areas that need additional training and concern. So again, that's how it's a perfect readiness tool to help you build competency and awareness within your facility. Likewise, within action items, we also have a library feature that gives you the ability to log and track library documents. This can be anything from manuals all the way down to specific templates that you have. Let's say that you have a front office and they need to have a set of consents that are pre-templated. You can add that there, or even pricing scales. You can add that there, and a simple click of the button gives you the preview details, and then clicking that gives you the ability to view that particular pricing scale for your organization. Likewise, if you have meeting minutes that you want to log, you're able to do so as well. And anything that is a Word doc that is listed gives you the ability to download it. If it's something that you don't want, that you just want for viewing purposes once it's been captured, the system can automatically convert that to a PDF for you for viewing purposes. So next we have our data models tab, and that gives you the ability to view any canned reports. Again, these are pre-configured. Once they are set up, it gives you the ability to perform a real-time search of the information pertaining to that topic. So if you're just looking for a list of active policies, you're able to simply view that and export that if needed. If you're trying to hone down on more specific areas of concern, like standalone events that have been reported internally, likewise, you can run that report in real time. We also give you the ability to, schedule that report that can be emailed to you based on a number of occurrences or a specific date. So if you need a report every first of the month, you can pre-configure the system to email you that report every first of the month, and to respective users that are needed, that need access to that report. Likewise, we give you the ability to customize your dashboard, and we offer a variety of different compliance metrics and diagrams here. This is just a quick example. The difference is within this particular tool to fashion your dashboard, any updates made here is only going to be applicable to your personalized login. So once you pre-configure your dashboard setting in this view, that's what the actual user that's logging in will see, not the entire team, opposed to the reports. Any of this information can be visible to any permission user at any time. And I believe I have covered the maximum. So in this time, I am going to hand it back over to Jeff, our moderator. And if we have any questions, I am happy to answer them.
Awesome. Thanks, Paula. That was really great. As I've told you before, I learn something new every time I see this system. One question we did have that came in that I've got here is, I know we targeted the U.S. audience for this session, but there was a question about international. Some of the hospitals out there have some U.S. hospital systems have hospitals abroad, especially the U.K. comes to mind. Can ComplyVision handle compliance issues there?
So you're, yeah, great question, great question.
Easy for me to say, yeah.
Yes, so the answer is yes, we are able to support any publicly regulated agency, national or international. We can easily access that information from their specific sites. So if it is a site like ISO, which covers most international and national compliance measures, we're able to pull that information down. If it is more specific, a private agency like a TJC for the UK, we would require member access in order to have access for that information. Once we have it, we're able to pull it in. The only challenge that we would face is receiving adequate updates, because again, we would have to maintain active member access for the private sites. Public sites will receive ongoing information and updates as you normally would, as well as having active links to those public sites as I showcased in the demonstration.
Perfect. And actually segues into this next question we got was, how does ComplyVision, how do you guys keep up with changing regulatory landscape? So essentially, how are you getting information to make sure your customers are informed of all of the changes? Because we know how the government and the other agencies are. There's probably changes every year.
Well, more often now, but yes, we are able to keep up with that in a few different ways. And I believe this is what sets ComplyVision apart from other companies. So in addition to having regular date reviews that are automated within the system that we can preset to pull that information in at those specific timed intervals, we also have nursing professionals like myself and other team members that work closely with the organizational compliance team members. So we meet with you all regularly. It's not a sign the contract one and done. This is an ongoing relationship now. And we work with you to make sure that we cover all bases and that nothing is missed or falls through the loop.
Perfect. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and you're not wrong about the regulatory changes coming much more frequently than yearly. It seems like every other day it's something new. How about tech specs? The question was about what all technical specifications do you require? Do you have any sort of integrations or other apps that are required, or anything that somebody's got to have to set this up?
All right, very good. Thank you. Great question. So in essence, we work on a SQL Server. And upon working with us, what we do is fashion the entire configured solution within our ComplyVision server. Once we're ready to actually move towards implementing it in a go live environment, Azure is the server that supports these platforms, all ComplyVision platforms. As far as any required extensions, In order to get the most out of this compliance solution, we definitely recommend that you use Google Chrome, although we're easily accessible in any web browser, and that you also have the plugin extensions for Microsoft Office tools, as well as the Adobe PDF tool.
Perfect. Okay, so that's stuff that most people probably have on their computer, or at least a lot of them. So, and I think most offices and most hospitals I encounter are all on Microsoft anyway. So that wouldn't be a very much of a stretch. So really nothing more for that. And as far as IT is concerned, is there anything an IT department has to do to help to set this up other than maybe, some sort of firewall access, if you will, or make sure that your website, I guess is the best way to put it, is approved to be able to go to?
Right. So again, great question. Our team works very closely with the organizational assignees. Usually that involves a compliance officer as well as someone from their tech support. Within that conversation, in addition to learning the credential software that we're going to be working with, which, by the way, ComplyVision can be used as a standalone or as an augment to another system. We will work with you to understand the specific software types, the specific credentials that are required. If there's any firewalls, we'll figure out, the tech support rather, will figure out how to address that without enforcing any security challenges along the way. And then in addition to that, we do have specific data mapping keys on the back end that we would need to acquire. If it's a publicly regulated agency, the good news is most of that stuff is easily acceptable where we can plug that in and pull the information down. Clearly, we cannot push information to them.
Right.
But if it is a private agency, we will require a little bit more in-depth scoping and definitely this tech spec discussions around how to access that information securely and pull it into our system.
Yep. And I'm glad you mentioned that about not pushing data back because of, people are always concerned about HIPAA and are you pushing things in, are you pulling things out, that sort of thing. So, that tells us that ComplyVision's a pretty secure in terms of it's not worrying, you're not worrying about PHI or any sort of issues that the hospital generally has to worry about. And frankly, from a cybersecurity perspective, this is a pretty low risk as well.
Correct, correct, correct. And I will add, just checking the box on that, we are fully cloud-based. But just to add to your comment earlier that you made earlier about regs changing consistently. So our system does support that as well. Again, the system is fully configurable. If you have proposed rules, like CMS had a set of proposed rules that were coming down last year, and then some that we were trying to prepare for at the beginning of 2025, we can add that to the system so that once those proposed rules or executive orders check the necessary boxes and become actual policies, it's an easy conversion from the proposed to the actual within the system, but it's already housed there. So that's not a challenge for us to identify those proposals early and get them pulled in to their respective categories. We can support that.
But so I want to thank you very much, Paula, for taking the time out today to put this on. It's really valuable information, and I really hope that everybody who's seeing this and might see it in the future really understands how important this area is in the healthcare right now, and frankly how time consuming it is. But it's necessary, and it's one of those things that it's not going to go away. And we've all got to be prepared. And frankly, there's financial penalties that can potentially come into play if you're not prepared, not up to speed, and not compliant with some of the regulatory things that are out there. So, Paula,
Absolutely.
yeah. So, Paula, appreciate the time, and thank everybody for watching. And we'll end the webinar now. And again, if you did miss this one, we are having it recorded, and we'll be making that available very soon. So, thank you very much.